none of these guys would identify as gay. We are just guys who identify as straight, who like sexual contact with men.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us an email and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, and sometimes the show is best when we're just speaking to a guest who wants to get a secret off their chest and talk about something that no one in their life knows about. In this case, we're speaking to a man who reached out. He's married to a woman. He has grandchildren, but he is sleeping with men on the side. So he's here to talk all about this secret that he has. And we've got the guest on the line. Thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So can you just sort of recap the email that you sent us where you just sort of explained this situation that you're in, that your wife and nobody else knows about?
Well, let's see, it's been at least 25 years. And so I don't even know how it got, I know how it got started. It got started once when I was looking through Craigslist and I saw a lot of men for men kind of advertisements and a lot of them said they were married. And so I had never seen that before. And so it kind of intrigued me. And so I responded to one of those messages, and I had a guy respond back, and we met up that morning, and the rest is history.
Was that the first time that you had experimented with men?
No, not at all. In high school, when I played football, there was a couple of guys on our team that I experimented with. There were little dalliances, as when I was in college. In college, it kind of got a little bit out of control because we had a restroom where you could, if you went to the restroom, it was on the lower level of one of the buildings, and not a lot of traffic was down there, and so it made it easy to invite somebody into a stall next to you.
Do you identify as gay or bisexual?
I know this is going to sound crazy. I don't identify as either. I just identify as straight. What I've told myself the last, years since I was a teenager, I do enjoy women. I enjoy the way they feel, the way they smell, the way they make love and all of that. But sometimes I get just a really intense craving to be around a guy, and not just be around a guy, but to feel him, to hold him, to have him on top of me, to have me on top of him. And it's not just, and it pretty much is just sexual. It's not like I'm seeking a romantic romance with this person. And so that's what makes finding married men so much easier, because they're not looking for a relationship at all. They have a relationship with their wives, just like I have a relationship with my wife. And so I do have 2 or 3 guys that I do see on a regular basis. And we have a strict, no identification policy. If I see him at the mall, or if I'm out with my wife in a restaurant and I happen to see him, it's as if I don't even see him. It's as if we don't even know each other. And we've gotten...
I was going to say, how often is regularly? Like, how often do you see them?
Before the pandemic, maybe 2 or 3 times a week, and maybe multiple guys. And most of the time, we played safe. But once I started having like a regular pool of guys, I didn't really worry about playing safe so much, and neither did they. We were tested regularly, and that always played out just fine. So I really admit I've been really lucky to have that many years and not have any kinds of issues like that. Of course, if I did, that would be a dead giveaway.
Wow.
Right.
So you identify as straight. You, I guess,
Yeah.
always knew that you wanted to marry a woman, but when you married your wife, were you still sleeping with men, or was there a period when you first got married that you hadn't been with any men?
There was a period that when we first got married from, I say, for about 5 or 6 years, maybe 7 years, when we were starting a family, that I didn't sleep with men.
Was your intention to just stay married, stay faithful, and never see other men, or did you always
Right.
think that it might pop up again in your life?
Uh, well, I didn't really think of it that way. I just thought, I enjoy my wife. We're building a family. We're having kids. The feelings, the emotions, the attractions that I'm having, I will just deal with them and lay them aside. And so for 7 years, I did. But then we moved. We moved out of the area where we were to a whole nother town, and that's when I discovered the Craigslist ads. And from that day on, I I would have I've always had jobs that gave me the freedom to work at home or to work remotely or to work out of town. And so it was very easy to have the house to myself, maybe 3 or 4 days a week, maybe 5 days a week. And if I knew I was going to have it 5 days a week, and if I was really feeling needy, I mean, I could see 4 or 5 guys
In 5 days, you mean?
in one day.
Oh, in one
wow.
day. And this is happening in your own home?
It's happening in our home.
And so you said 25 years of this and your wife has never come close to finding out what's happening?
No, no,
Wow.
never given her any reason to. She wouldn't know. She wouldn't suspect.
So I can understand part of this is satisfying this urge for you, but
Yeah.
does any part of you feel bad that you're having such consistent affairs, essentially?
No, I guess because I enjoy it, and the guys that I'm with, they really enjoy it, and the mindset is the same. We've kind of convinced each other somehow that we're just getting a drink of water. Well, we're at the water fountain for 2 hours or maybe 3 hours.
It's an interesting
And
way to put it.
yeah, so that's kind of how I see it. I'm really thirsty. I just need a glass of water. And the guy that I'm meeting, he's, of course, there's a lot of maybe there's 3 or 4 emails back and forth before somebody comes over, because I want to make sure that in the town where we live, we're both very visible, and so I want to make sure that I'm not inviting somebody over who's like the principal of the school,
Right.
and I would recognize him and he would recognize me. That would be terrible.
So to this day, you're still meeting up with, men you don't really know. I mean, you have these 3 or 4 that you said that you see regularly, but you're still
Yeah.
finding new people.
Well, right before the pandemic, the Craigslist, those kinds of ads went away. And so there's other things like double list and just like sometimes word of mouth. So it curtailed my activity for a while. And of course, then COVID slipped in. And so I completely stopped. But since COVID has been, diminished to some degree, I probably see maybe 4 or 5 guys. And most of them are not new. Most of them are guys that I know, or I've been with for 10, 15 years. And we keep it, we're kind of silly because every time I open the door, I never know the scenario that we're going to play. They may say, hey, Bob, my lawnmower stopped working. Can I take a look at your lawnmower because it's the exact same as mine? Oh yeah, come on in, Larry. And so we do this whole scenario, where we're doing this pretending thing, and we just kind of act out. We move the play around to, hey, would you like to go to the basement and have a beer before you go back and mow? You're looking pretty hot. Sure, yeah, I will. Yeah, take off your shirt. You know what? We can hang it over here to dry out. And then there we go.
So there's a lot of role playing involved in these interactions.
Yeah, especially since the pandemic was lifted, it's a lot of it, a lot more than previously. There was always some, because some guys just like to do that. And I was never like that before, but I found it to be kind of fun also. I have a couple of guys that will write out a whole script that they want to use.
Wow.
And want me to use.
Now, when you have sex with your wife, is there any similar sort of role play, or is that not the case? So is that sort of a whole other sexual experience that you're getting fulfilled with the guys?
It is. It's a whole different. My sexual experiences with my wife they are just as satisfying. They are just as they're actually more intimate, because there's not a lot of intimacy with the guys. There's a lot of friendship kind of thing going on, but it's not like I'm falling in love with you, or this is bringing us closer, or I feel like this is making us one. Whereas with my wife, those are the kinds of feelings and the emotions that I have. But I have found that not only myself, but other guys have the same urge and desire to have the contact that we would have with our wives, but just have it with a guy.
It's really interesting because majority of these men like you are married to women with children and identifying as straight.
All of them have been married. Not one gay identifying person ever. Everybody, the first thing I look for is a wedding ring, and they all have a wedding ring, and they all look and dress and act like they're married. They talk about things that married guys talk about, maybe without giving away a lot of their personal information. They'll talk about the kids and the neighborhoods they live in, and how we have to be very discreet, and maybe if this works out, we can meet up again. We have those kinds of conversations, and you would be surprised that the guys that knock on the door, they are white collar guys who are professors at universities. They are people in the medical field. They are people who work at the Jiffy Lube. There are people who work at a construction site who on their lunch was reading it and then decided to come over. There are guys who, it goes across the board. You cannot tell. You would not know this guy in his three-piece suit who is able to get away for 3 hours because he's the manager in his office, or because he's the CEO where he works. So his absence from work is not questioned. He could be having a business lunch. He could be meeting up with somebody for a lot of reasons, and that's how it was with me too.
Wow.
So that's how I always had the time.
So it's just a bunch of straight guys having sex with each other. In a way.
It really is. A lot of straight married guys with kids.
Why have you never considered identifying as gay or bisexual? Like, why only label yourself as straight?
I don't know. It's never been anything that I felt like I needed to identify as, or I needed to come out for, or anything like that. Plus I have I guess part of it is I don't think I would be identifying myself as gay because of the kind of life that I want to live.
What does that
Where,
mean?
the great jobs in the six figures, great house, send my kids to Europe on vacation for 4 weeks every year. My wife and I would take vacations. And I just, in the environment that I've always circled in, a lot of that would go away, I think. The job may not,
Right.
but at the time that I started, things weren't even as open as they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I don't even mean publicly identify, but even just for yourself.
I don't need to. I'm fine just identifying as who I am.
Okay. And also, you said earlier that this started because you were reading like these Craigslist postings, but that kind of went away. So are you putting up postings now and like kind of inviting people, inviting these men over in some way? And what do you do to attract these men with these like postings?
Well, the typical, yes, I have. As a matter of fact, last week I posted 2 times, and I met up with, and I had never met up with these guys before. They were both married. One had teenagers, the other had adult children. They're very successful in their jobs. And I'll put, to get their attention, I'll put something like married man seeking male contact with another married guy. This is what I like. This is what I like to do. Tell me what you like to do. Tell me what you don't like to do. Tell me where you live within, a certain radius to where I'm living. And then if they contact me back, and they usually do, and they usually share that information, most of the times there's no pictures that are traded. Every now and then there'll be a guy who's very very needy, and maybe he's gone a long time without any contact. And so to make sure that he gets to come over, he might send a picture.
So
like, look at me, I'm a normal guy. I'm not a crazy guy. And I've never had any incident that has happened at my house that would make me feel it's unsafe. And I live in this delusional world where my neighborhood, my community is really there's no place that's safe. And I'm not pretending that where I live is super safe, because tragedy happens everywhere. But it's a neighborhood of high earners, pretty straight-laced guys, and so when you get somebody like that, those are the kind of guys that would answer the ad,
Right. And how do you hide this from your neighbors even? I mean, are they walking straight up to the front door? Like, are people not noticing that?
Yeah,
Like,
they're walking up to the front door. Well, it's not like there's a parade of men.
right.
Like, maybe somebody will come at 7:30 and then they'll leave. Maybe that guy has a suit and a tie, a really nice suit and a tie. He might even have on a Rolex watch. And then maybe around 11 or 12 is when the guys who work on construction sites usually will answer the ad, and they'll come and they'll wear their tool belts. So if my neighbor were to see them, and most of our neighbors are not home, because like I said, it's a high earning neighborhood. So husbands and wives are gone from their home, so they wouldn't ever see me. I did have a neighbor next door, but she was elderly, and so she wouldn't have, it wouldn't have been noticeable for her.
Right.
So the guy with the tool belt, he could be coming doing something at my house. No one would know. And then, somewhere after lunch, the guy who is, a manager or a department head or some kind of accountant, where he can have a little fluidity with his schedule, he might tap into me and say, "Hey, are you free today? Yes or no?" Actually, no, I'm not even in the state today. I'm traveling, and so then I'll get back to him when I get back home, and maybe that will be 2 weeks out. So I will say it's not as active as it used to be, only because people's lives change, people's schedules change, people's desires change. Uh,
If your wife were to find out, how do you think she would react?
oh, she would be so angry. She wouldn't be angry about the acts. She'd be angry about the lie and the deceit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what would, because that would make her look stupid, or her head buried in the sand, and she's none of those things. She's a very smart, bright, high earning, intelligent person. But like I said before, I give her no reason to ever think about it or wonder about it. She comes home and I've been home, everything is fine. I might be even cooking dinner or have a load of laundry in, and may have, fucked 3 guys.
How do you so where does this usually happen? I mean, you mentioned the basement, so it's like you have to clearly clean up after this sort of thing and make sure there's no anything left behind.
Yeah, and sometimes we even have to sometimes you'll have to take a shower.
Yeah.
And I have a large basement that's like, I don't know, 1,700 square feet, and there's a full bath, a bedroom, bed, sheets, towels, a living room area, all of that. And with just my wife and I being at home now, we really never have any reason. She doesn't even have any reason to go down there unless somebody is going to come from out of town and spend the night with us. But in the meantime, I've cleaned up. I've had lots of years to make sure that there's nothing left behind. One time, one of my regular buddies, he brought over this thing where it straps in the corner of the mattresses, and you put Velcro cuffs around his wrist and around his feet. And so he wanted to have that kind of an experience. I mean, I didn't beat him or anything, but we just spent lots of physical contact with him in that position. And then when he was done and he left, I forgot to take that off of the bed. And so my wife would have went down there and she would have thought, what is this thing that's hooked to our bed downstairs? But luckily I got to it before she was able to go down there. Put it in my pocket and then I threw it in the garbage.
Is this something that you think you'll keep up sort of forever?
Yeah, are you taking this to your grave?
Yeah, because it sounds like, the way that you described it is your wife would be pretty devastated. So does that ever make you feel like, you know what, eventually I'm not going to do this anymore? Or is it something that at this point is just part of who you are as a person and how you're going to live your life?
I know that I can go without doing it for a significant amount of time. Like during the pandemic, we both were working from home, and one of our adult kids came and lived at home too. And so all 3 of us were quarantined. I'm not going to have the guy with the tool belt knocking on the front door and saying, let's go down to the basement and look at my water heater. So no, I know I can't go without it. And there are times where I will plan something and it could be in solid, but I'll feel like, you know what? I shouldn't do this today. So I listen to my gut a lot. And if I do, I just need to text one word to whoever it is who's coming. It's not going to work or something like that.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. When I go out and have a few drinks, I don't bounce back the next day like I used to. I'm getting older, and that's getting harder for me. But that's why I use ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink. It's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic, and let me tell you, it is the answer that I've been looking for. It was actually invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings the night after drinking. I'm no scientist, but here's how it basically works. When you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct in your gut. And it's this toxic byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next morning. And ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic produces an enzyme that breaks this byproduct down. You get what I'm saying? So just remember to make ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and then you'll feel your best tomorrow. I won't lie to you guys, I was a little on the fence about this product. I wasn't sure that it would actually have an impact, but honestly, I do use this now on the nights that I go out drinking. I make it my first drink, and then next day, I'm so much more productive and present than I typically am after a night of drinking. This holiday season, give your friends and family a gift that they'll actually want to use with ZBiotics. And you can go to zbiotics.com/OPL to get 15% off your first order when you use OPL at checkout. And ZBiotics is backed by a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they will refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/OPL. Use the code OPL at checkout for 15% off. And thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times. It's officially time to kickstart that holiday shopping. I know typically this could be a time for panic, but you don't need to panic because Uncommon Goods has your back. How do they have your back? They have your back by making your holiday shopping stress-free by scouring the globe for the most remarkable and truly unique gifts for everyone on your list. So whether you're shopping for your mom, dad, a teenager, whoever, Uncommon Goods knows exactly what people want. I love Uncommon Goods. I use them for my shopping. I'm not going to name names here because people might be watching, but I found some really cool gifts already, specifically for some friends. I got some really cool bar cart decor and items that they're definitely not going to be expecting, but they're going to love. I've been able to get some really cool personalized gifts and artwork, candles. The selection is huge of really unique gifts for people in your life. The best part is when you shop Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses, which is something I care about when I'm doing my shopping. And a lot of these products are made in small batches, so it makes them truly unique. So hurry up and go check out the site because a lot of this does sell out. For me, this is a way to find really meaningful and out-of-the-box gifts for people, not just generic stuff that they may even get from other people. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice, and they've donated more than $2.5 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/OPL. That's uncommongoods.com/OPL for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. Is part of this deceit and just the secret of this, is that a turn on for you? Because it seems like you're able to transition pretty easily back into the husband/father role.
It really isn't a turn on. It's actually, it's risky behavior and it's a little bit scary in a way, but not in a makes me hornier sort of way. Just, I never want to get caught sort of way. I don't see myself doing this maybe 2 or 3 years from now. I could see where I would, where things would, where people are kind of aging out, because in the beginning, we were in our, mid-30s and younger, some of them. Some of them were college students. And so kind of age out and people get different jobs and they move. So I would say maybe 2 or 3 more years. And maybe not. I don't know. It just depends. It depends on, how well I can control.
If your wife were to find out and ultimately you guys get separated, what do you think your life looks like then?
Really lonely. Because she would definitely tell our kids.
Right.
And they would totally freak out. And 2 of my children have very high profile jobs where you would recognize them in print. And so to have their father, in something that scandalous would just be devastating to them. But
Right.
I don't foresee that happening. Of course, I don't foresee it. But I just don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, it just seems like there's so much like riding on this, like every single time that you kind of have done it. I'm just curious, like why you choose to keep going back to it if there's like gigantic ramifications if this ever, God forbid, gets out.
Say that again.
I'm just wondering, like, because you're saying like your children, your life would be very lonely if this had got out. Your wife would probably separate from you. Your children, who knows how they react, and their jobs and everything, and then the life you want to live. I'm curious, like, what is the reason why you keep going back to this if there's potentially a huge negative downside to this?
That's how, like giving up smoking or overeating or anything that we do that becomes, I'm going to use the word compulsive and obsessive, but that doesn't really define it. I would say when your desires are so strong that for that touch, for that smell of a guy when he's stopping by after he's been at the gym all morning for a couple of hours. And if he's going to do that, I definitely tell him, I'm not going to wear deodorant. I don't want you to wear any deodorant either. Just come as you are. Sweaty and all. Don't shower there. So that's how intense that desire would be, because it's about being with just another really masculine guy. And none of these guys would identify as gay. None of them have any what would typically be called gay characteristics, or the way they walk and talk and live. Definitely wouldn't put them in a community of gay men. They are, for all intents and purposes, we are just guys who identify as straight, who like sexual contact with men. Sometimes there's kissing, sometimes there's not. It just depends on the guy. Some guys like to kiss, some guys don't like to kiss.
Okay. My last question that I have is, if you were to find out that your wife was doing this, say with women behind your back, how would you react? Would you be understanding or would you be shocked?
I think without divulging my experiences to her, yes, I would be understanding, because I would understand the need to have that closeness with that gender. And it's really weird. It's not like, and again, it's not like you see a guy walking down the street and you go, that guy's hot, I'd like to fuck him. It's not that way at all. You meet a guy and you just, you're revved up to have contact before you even see a person. So they may be very handsome, they may not be very handsome. Usually looks doesn't play a large part in it, but their physical stature does for me. I like a really strong, well-built, well-maintained guy from head to toe.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up because you had said that most of the time you don't even know what these people look like until they show up.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say, and if they show up and you're not necessarily physically attracted to them, has that ever happened?
What has happened is someone has shown up and they showed up too late to when my family would be starting to come home, or I sensed something about them that seemed unsafe. Whether you do expect somebody to be a little bit nervous, so that's that, and so that you can recognize. But then there's other vibes that people give off, because the crazy part is I'm inviting this person into my home where my wife's jewelry is, where our electronics are, where, you know, sometimes we keep cash in the house. But again, I hate to say this, they're not that type of guy. But you know what? You don't know that type of guy, because the guys that I am with are not that type of guy either. And when I say type of guy, I mean someone that you would suspect to be gay. Not even close. And you know what? I think that started when I was in high school, when I played on the football team. Because those two guys that I was having sex on our team, one was a quarterback and one was a running back, and they were as masculine and as rough and tough and hard and as you can be. And no one would have expected them to be, you know, having sex with another guy on the team. And that lasted 2 years.
Wow.
So from my junior year in high school all the way to my first year of college. So 3 years, including the summers.
Yeah.
And sometimes with those two guys, sometimes I'd have sex twice a day with them, maybe 3 times a day. But again, we were very young and very, you know.
Just young and ready to go.
Is this blowing your mind?
Yeah, it really is. It's interesting that it feels like there's almost, I don't know if community is the right word, but so many men out there that are identified. Have you seen the movie Fight Club? It feels like Fight Club, but with like sex. And just something that you would never see or people wouldn't talk about, but like they're just, I guess, straight men in life.
Sometimes there would be so many guys to answer my Craigslist ad that I couldn't even keep track of them all. And then I'd get a text from them that would say, "What the fuck, man? I thought I was going to be able to come over." You know, and either I didn't answer it or I'd say, sorry, bro, but, you know, I didn't have time.
Yeah, and this is sort of just reaffirming, like we've had some episodes in the past. I remember the spanker, the naked cuddler from like years ago when we first started the show, which, funny enough, we started because we were responding to people's Craigslist ad to get them on the show. So we know what that section was about when it existed. But we would hear a lot of the same. Like, these are men with kids, with wives. Like, they're coming there. They're not gay. They're saying they're not gay, but I don't know. They just need to be spanked by another man, like in the middle of their workday.
And there could be, I'm not kidding you, at its height, there could be, you know, 8 or 9 guys that would respond to the ad, and I would try to squeeze in as many as I can. Or if I really was still horny or still needy, I don't like to use the word horny, but if I was still needy, I might carry over to the next day. I might find a reason to work from home the next day and then catch up with not run an ad the next day, but run it, you know, kind of get back to the people that I didn't get back to. Wow. And sometimes when I explain to a guy that, you know, there's already one guy coming over, and he'll say, "Hey, ask him if he minds if I come over too."
For me, the holiday season always means that the days just get a little busier and more jam-packed. And for me, that sometimes makes it harder to fit in convenient and nutritious meals that I typically like to enjoy. But that's where Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service, comes in. They can help you fuel up for any meal of the day with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, ready-to-eat meals that are delivered straight to your door. So you'll save time, you'll eat well, and you'll get to stay on track with those healthy habits that you've been forming for the year. I love that you can choose from over 35 weekly flavor-packed, fresh, never frozen meals that are ready to eat in 2 minutes. Yet literally 2 minutes. That is not a mistake. I said 2 minutes. They also have calorie smart meals. So if you're looking for something that is less than 550 calories per serving, they've got you covered there as well. And the best part is there is no prep and there is no mess. Those are the 2 things I hate most about cooking, and they're the most time consuming, prepping the meal and then cleaning it up. But with Factor, again, these meals are ready to eat in 2 minutes. So you're good to go and you're going to love it. Check out their menu, see what they have, and they're going to have a fit for you. So head to factormeals.com/OPL50 and use code OPL50 to get 50% off. That's code OPL50 at factormeals.com/OPL50 to get 50% off.
How many men do you think you've had sex with since you've been married?
Oh my gosh. Probably, it would be in the thousands.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah.
Thousands of men since you've been married?
It's 25 years. So yeah.
Wow.
That's a lot of fucking...
Some of them more than once. Most of them are more than once.
So these are thousands of people.
Let's say in the 25 years that I've lived here in this area, I would say maybe 1,500.
That is
Easy.
a lot of people. I did not expect that.
Men, women, whatever. That's a lot of sex.
And you've managed to like keep this from your wife and also not run into any sort of like STD trouble or anything like that.
No, never.
Wow.
And that's, and I realize I've been lucky that way, but all the guys are, that's one of the things that we say in the ad, are you clean? Have you had unprotected sex with some other guy? Because if not, we're not going to do that. If you're going to want to do a variety of things, or if I'm going to want to do a variety of things where bodily fluids are going to be exchanged, we need to be upfront about that. And so, what comes back is, dude, I'm married. No, I wouldn't. And that kind of has been the safeguard, because all these guys, like I said, have been married. There's only 2 that I think were not married.
Makes sense. It's like the number one way to get caught, You're like 20 years into a marriage and then all of a sudden you have an STD or something like that.
Right. Yeah, where did that come from?
Right.
How can you have that?
Has there been... have you ever had an affair with a woman?
Almost. It was in the workplace though, and she was pursuing me very, very, very heavily. It was kind of scary, actually. Oh. But I really wouldn't have an affair with a woman, because everything I need from a woman, my wife does have.
Right.
There's nothing about her that's undesirable, and there's nothing about my physical, sexual life with her or intellectual life with her that is undesirable. But set that aside, when I really get needy, I need a guy.
Do you consider it to be cheating, or do you sort of classify it as something else because it's not a woman?
I don't know what I classify it as. I know we like to put things in boxes, but I can't really put it in a box, because I don't even know why that desire is so intense. And it's not like I'm an odd duck. There's a lot of married guys that seek out pleasure from guys. I've had guys meet up with me who are 60 and 70 years old.
70?
70.
Wow.
And they are just fine. We have a very satisfying time.
Wow. Well, I mean, that is quite a life you're living over there. I mean, I did not expect that number. It sounds like it has to be pretty frequent. And even now, today is Friday. So
yeah,
has there been a few guys this week?
2 guys this week, and 3 guys last week. And the 2 guys last week were the same 2 guys this week, and 1 guy that I hadn't seen in a while.
Got it.
Well, we really, really thank you for being so honest with us. That's what helps make the show so interesting, is to get a perspective like yours, and just complete, honesty about your situation and the life that you're living.
and I won't pretend that it's okay. I'm not doing that. I'm not pretending that it's anything that you would choose to do. But if you're gonna do it, it has to be as foolproof as it can be. And probably now is the time to, since things have slowed down since the pandemic, maybe now is the time to live my life not needing that contact, because it's full on contact from head to toe. I mean, these guys, we want every part of us caressed and felt, and just the way, like if I have sex with my wife and I'm in a missionary position, when I'm with a guy, I like to feel the weight of his body on top of me.
So it's like you're switching roles.
Not all the time.
Okay.
Sometimes, but not all the time. And maybe we'll do both. Both people will do both.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Sounds like a lot of creative freedom in this.
Oh, we do. We do. And we've played around a little bit with peeing on each other in the showers and that kind of thing. But, nobody gets really into that because, then you got to take a shower, and then why are you using all these towels downstairs? Why is the mirror foggy in the basement? The one time my wife never goes to the basement, she goes down there looking for something, and the mirror's foggy. How do I explain that? So we keep it. We have a lot of good sexual contact, and I know the average guy can't imagine that. And what's even more torturous than that? I have a friend that I've had for 46 years, and I desire to have him so bad. Like in my 20s, when we actually were roommates for a while, and he would walk around without his shirt and just his tidy whities, and he was super masculine, hard, redheaded, freckles, nice feet, legs, thighs, and I would cry.
You would cry?
The desire would be. I mean, I wouldn't like just have waterworks, but I would. The feeling would be so intense to have him, and then it's to think, what if I told him that that's what I wanted, and then, it ruined the friendship. And that's where the tears would come in. Once he had something where he asked me to look at his testicles because he had something wrong, and so he pulled back the sheets and he didn't have any pants, any underwear on, and I thought I was gonna die. He had the biggest set of balls I've ever seen in my life, and tons of red hair down there, and his balls were bigger than his penis, but I have a feeling he's a grower. Wow. But I was sick for 3 days.
Sick
because I kept seeing the vision of his.
Yeah, you just got the balls flaunted, and you can't have them. You would be sick too if you wanted that.
Wow. I can't have them.
And you can't risk that because it will ruin everything.
I don't want to ruin my marriage. I wouldn't want to ruin my marriage. And the funny thing is, he has a daughter who has come out gay. And I monitored his response to it, and it wasn't that good.
All right.
Okay. You were like judging to see if there's ever a chance in the future, but.
Well, there have been times where I think he was giving me permission, but I wasn't 100% sure. Like we'd be watching a movie in my room, and he'd fall asleep in my bed with just a pair of gym trunks on. Get up and go to your own fucking room, because right now you're going to have to leave and I'm going to have to jack off. Are you laughing?
Yeah, you're getting us right now. But we appreciate all the detail. It is terrible. I feel horrible for you. But you're very descriptive.
I can imagine that it's hard. I can imagine that it is completely hard to imagine. And it is. But just imagine something that you desire very strongly,
Yeah.
and that if you go without it for a while, then you want to eat all of it or have all of it. And that's when I would see 5 or 6 or 7 guys in a week or in a day when I backed off for a really, really long time. I found that if I just fed the monster, gradually or periodically, and sometimes guys would shoot me a text or an email and ask if they could get together, if I was at home or was I in town, or, and so sometimes those kind of repeat guys you feel very comfortable with. And of course we do the whole role play, like who's coming over?
Yeah.
I want to come over and talk to you about life insurance. Oh, you're going to wear your suit and tie? Yeah. And shoes? Yeah. Okay, don't put on any deodorant and don't wear any socks.
Jeez. Well, I think
And
we
don't
have
wear any underwear.
the best understanding of this dynamic that we could.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk all day about examples.
Oh, yeah.
We do have to wrap up, but seriously, again, like, thank you you're one of the most honest guests we've had on the show.
Yeah.
And you've shared all these details of your life, and we appreciate it. And like I said before, that's what makes this show possible.
And I got really scared the last time. I thought, what if some random person that somewhere recognizes my voice and asks my wife, hey, is Larry on a podcast? Is Larry on a podcast? Is Jim on a podcast?
Yeah.
So so I freaked out. It's like the guy knocks on my door and I tell him, this is not going to work today.
Yeah, no, I know. And this is a conversation that we want to have. So for everyone listening and watching, what he's referring to is we had it scheduled, he backed out, but then he came back to us. And like I said, we do appreciate it. And as we discussed prior to the call, you'll obviously remain 100,000% anonymous with your voice completely altered. So that's what everyone's hearing right now. But we do appreciate you getting back to us. And this was really opened our minds a lot. So, we thank you so much for that.
Okay. And thank you for letting me. I feel like I've unburdened myself to some degree.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that you feel that way too. Sometimes, people, when they have secrets like this, we're the only people who know.
No, nobody else knows.
Wow. Well, we take that very seriously. So thank you for choosing our platform.
All righty. Well, thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.
We're not laughing at him, people watching this.
I'm like, I wasn't expecting that at all.
It just, the second wind of that conversation just really took us by surprise, and he's quite the storyteller. So
biggest set of balls really set me off.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
He'll understand, I think.
Yeah, I hope so.
He called us out. Are you guys laughing? Yeah, dude, we're laughing.
So you better go to your fucking bed or I'm going to jack off. Yeah, look, also, this is insanely fucked up, which he knows.
Yeah.
You're fucking 1,500 guys while you're married is pretty
Married
brutal.
with kids, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, my question still kind of remains, where I was just like, considering all that you could lose if this gets out, like, is it worth it? Which I feel like is an easy question for a lot of people, but this kind of like fucking at this clip is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
Like maybe it is worth it to him.
I would say, yeah, I think, he said the compulsion, the desire, it
almost sounds like an addiction.
Yeah. I don't think he's going to be able to stop this right now, but it seems like maybe he is toying with the idea of trying to live without it. But I don't know. How do you just,
I don't know.
You can't really go cold turkey from that, can you?
1,500 guys in 25 years.
And still racking up the points. Like he's going to be in the league for a long time, I think.
What does that even come out to? Like,
I don't know, but it's what a wild dynamic to hear. Like just a bunch of men identifying as straight men, straight married men.
Think about that too. He said about 1,500 guys in 25 years, and only 2 of them weren't married. So
Yeah.
all of these men, for whatever reason, are in seemingly heterosexual relationships.
Yeah.
You have to assume that their situation is similar to his, where it's like, I am straight,
Yeah.
presenting to everybody, but I like to have sex with men.
Yeah.
That's
Wives are out there worried about their husbands meeting up with other women.
Yeah.
You got to watch out when he goes out with the boys.
honestly,
You know?
yeah. I mean, it is. Yeah, I wonder how common that actually is. I mean, it sounds like it is, and from the show, you even mentioned like the naked cuddler and the spanker, or whatever. A lot of these straight men are seeking out men.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not the first time we've heard it.
Not at all.
First time we've heard it to this extent, but yeah, this is, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to classify it, but this is a thing. And there's a lot of straight men married right now that are just boning dudes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's all we know. We'll continue to investigate further, I guess.
I guess. I mean, I wish that, there could be more communication in these situations. Talk to your wives if you have these compulsions, instead of, probably going out and having sex with 1,500 men. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it.
Because, like, I know it's hard for him to label these things, but, like, this is cheating, this is having an affair at, like, an extremely high level with someone that would be completely distraught if they were to find that out.
Right.
And that's never cool.
No, but I guess you have to respect the honesty here, for sure, which we do, and we thank him for coming on and telling us his story that he's never told anyone. So, if anyone out there would like to be a guest on our show as well, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com. Just send us an email and we'll get back to you.
Yeah, follow us on Instagram, TikTok @OPL Podcast. You can support at patreon.com/OPL show. And that's all.
See you guys next time.